Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a special midweek edition Batter Up podcast, sponsored by Halpern's Cards and Collectibles here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am Mike Rifkin, and I'm solo today. So, give you the news around baseball. There are some things said on a radio station as well that I want to talk about, as well as talk about some of the big weekend series coming up in Major League Baseball. But I do want to start with some cool things that occurred last night. This being Thursday, May 25th, 2023. These things occurred on May 24th, 2023. Starting Anaheim, where Mike Trout hit his 362nd home run, passing Joe DiMaggio on the all-time list. Trout now has 12 home runs on the season. And here's the best thing going for Trout. Listen, if you've listened to the division previews part of these podcasts, I was not high on the Angels for a number of reasons, but the biggest one is the last couple of years, Mike Trout has not been able to stay healthy, along with other guys such as Anthony Rendon, and I didn't trust the Angels starting pitching. You look now at where we are, and everyone says Memorial Day is kind of the first day you look at the standings. Well, the Angels right now are playing pretty good ball. They just swept the Red Sox, but they're 5 games over 500. They're 7-3 in their last 10, and they've won 4 in a row. So I think I was wrong. For right now, I'm going to say I was wrong on the Angels. But I'll say this. If Trout at any point gets hurt, it's such a hard pill to swallow because he's still, in my opinion, one of the more exciting players to watch, along with Ohtani. Hunter Renfroe's had a really nice year for them as well. Listen, I'm off the Rendon thing because he can't stay healthy. If their starting pitching can hold up, awesome. Do I think the Angels are a playoff team? No, but what's to stop them? In a world where they probably could add a starter at the deadline, they probably add another reliever if they wanted to. The problem is, I think the East is so top-heavy that you could see 3 wild cards come from the AL East because that's how deep their division is. I mean, every team is over 500. Even the Red Sox, who the Angels just swept, over 500. So it's a good start for the Angels. If Trout and Ohtani stay healthy, massive positive for the Angels. Now to the AL East, because there was a gut check win last night for the Orioles. Excuse me. As they beat the Yankees 9-6. And they scored, I believe it was 8 runs in the 7th. Yeah, an 8-run 7th inning propels them to a 9-6 win. This is night after they lost a game 6-5 where they were up 5-1. So a young team like the Orioles, that Tuesday night loss is for some it would be a crusher and it would start a downward spiral. For them, it didn't do it. They come back, they rebound, and now they have an opportunity tonight in the Bronx to take 2 of 3 from the Yankees, which, by the way, what would that do for their confidence right now, as they are the second-place team in the AL East, trailing the Rays by 3 games. And the Rays are playing the Blue Jays currently, and that is a 3-1 Rays lead in the 3rd inning. So you go through all of this, and the Orioles, a lot of people, myself included, wondered if last year was a fluke. It wasn't. It's a good team. It's a good team. Now, here's the problem. Let me rephrase that. Here is an idea for the Orioles. And I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago when they were talking, or when they were playing the team I'm going to tell them to copycat a little bit. They were playing the Braves. And what are the Braves known for? Buying out these arbitration years on these really good players and signing to longer-term deals that actually wind up being bargains. Acuna, Albies, Michael Harris got one. I think the Orioles could take a page out of this playbook, because think about what happened, I think it was 8 years ago now, give or take. The Machado situation. They decided to sign Chris Davis to a long-term deal, and then they moved Machado to the Dodgers. And it was they were reeling ever since, because Chris Davis, not a knock, after that contract, he just didn't perform. And Manny Machado is now a superstar. Well, he was a superstar then. He continues to be a superstar. So, and this is a way also to reignite the fan base, because let me tell you, as a fan of a team who's now spending money, but in the past really didn't at times, when you sign your homegrown players, the fans appreciate that. They love the superstar. Everyone loves the superstar. But when you draft and develop and a kid comes through the system, that tells the fan base, hey, we believe in this kid so much, we're going to give him $100 million, $200 million. And it gives a connection to the fans, instead of the scene in Major League where the guys reading the newspaper going, who the hell are these guys? You don't have that problem. So guys like Adley Rutschman, sign them. Buy out the arbitration years and sign them. Cedric Mullins, Mountcastle, Gunnar Henderson. All of these guys you could do it with, and that keeps your team together. And listen, you're never going to have a payroll like the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Dodgers or teams like that. But if you do what the Braves do, and it keeps everyone together for a long time, I'm not going to say you're going to win multiple World Series, because it's hard to win the World Series. But why couldn't you be a consistent playoff team? That's just something the Orioles, I think the Orioles should consider doing that. Not a guarantee that they will, but it's definitely something for them to figure out. Because if they do it, they're in a good spot, because they have so many young players, and they still have kids coming, Jackson Holiday, amongst others. Hey, if there's not a place for them on this team, guess what? Hey, top starting pitchers on the market. Who would I want to bring in? So they have to at least consider doing the Braves thing, because I'll tell you this, even as a Met fan, how the Braves operate with the Acuna deal, the Albies deal, I love it. Now, them losing Dansby Swanson hurts a bit, but the most of this core is locked up long term, and so that's a very important thing. So if the Orioles can do it, listen, you're never going to have that high payroll, but you're going to have a team that, for the record, will compete. Tampa does it differently too. But I'm not saying Tampa shouldn't consider doing that. I'm not saying the Jays shouldn't consider doing it. But for the Orioles, I think it makes a ton of sense. So those are some things that occurred last night with the Orioles winning, getting that big win in Trout's home run, and the Angels are off to a really nice start. We talk about the AL East and how much of a beast it is. The AL West isn't too shabby either. Texas, really good. We'll talk about them in a big weekend series they have. The Astros are starting to figure out. They've lost 2 in a row, but they're 8-2 in their last 10. They got Altuve back now. They're still waiting on Jose Abreu, which is really strange, I think, to most people in baseball, because him and I have the same amount of home runs. Goose egg. So I think the Astros are still the team to beat. The Angels, I mentioned how hot they are. And the Mariners are a really good team. And the Mariners right now are 25-24. But the Mariners can pitch, man. Luis Castillo's been great. I love the young guys. Logan Gilbert's got great stuff. George Kirby's got good stuff. They brought up this kid, Bryce Miller, who's been phenomenal for them. They can pitch. The question for them is, can they score enough runs? And that, I feel like, is the question about the Mariners every year. And then there's the A's. And listen, I rant about the A's every podcast. So they're 1-9 in their last 10, and they've lost 7 in a row. They have a run differential of -183. I feel bad for the people of Oakland. That's really it. They're putting a terrible product on the field, and then your reward is they're going to be moved to Vegas. And I'm going to get off of what I was talking about, because I do want to just hear myself on this. If the league is going to expand, and apparently that's one of the top things on Rob Manfred's list, I think you got to consider Oakland. It's a passionate fan base. It's a passionate sports town. The Raiders bolted, the A's bolted because they couldn't get a new ballpark. But if you can get the city to agree to a new ballpark, I don't see an issue with putting another team in Oakland. I really just don't. The passionate fan base. So I feel for those people right now, I feel terrible for them. So that's the stuff on the A's. Outside of that, I'm not going to talk about their play on the field, because they're not deserving of it. So something caught my eye. I live in New York, so sports radio is something I love, and I listen to the Fan, and one of the Fan's hosts talked about Aaron Boone. And he said, Aaron Boone, I'm quoting here, is the best manager in baseball. Let's just say it the way it is. This was on May 23rd. I get it. You want to hype a guy. You're the Yankees broadcast partner for radio. But you couldn't be more wrong. Aaron Boone's not even a top 10 manager in baseball, if you ask me, because great managers don't have 8-run 7th innings against them. Aaron Boone always gets outmanaged. So it got me thinking of any order right now, the top 10 managers in baseball. So I broke this down divisionally. So let's start in Boone's own division, the AL East, where he's not even the best manager in his own division. Alex Cora is a better manager. He's got a ring. Kevin Cash is a better manager because he has a team with the 3rd lowest payroll in all baseball, always in contention. Oh, by the way, he's been in more World Series than Aaron Boone has. And I got to tell you, listen, I'll give you Boone over John Schneider, and I'll give you Boone over Brandon Hyde, but that argument is coming very close, because the Orioles are not that far away. I got to be honest with you. The Orioles are not that far away. So I'll give you for now, Boone's the third best manager in his own division. So that's three. That right now he'd be third. In the AL Central, he's not better than Terry Francona. Terry Francona's going to Cooperstown. So Terry Francona jumped him. I love AJ Hinch, but I understand if you want to put Boone ahead of Hinch because of what happened in 17. I'll live with the argument, but I think AJ Hinch is a really good manager, so I put him a little bit ahead. Rocco Baldelli is a good manager. Is he Aaron Boone? Too soon to tell. And the Royals and the White Sox have new managers. And Mike Matheny did win a ring with the Cardinals, but he's been away for a bit. So, excuse me. Then you go to the West. Bruce Bochy is a Hall of Fame manager, and look at what he's doing with Texas. So he jumps Boone. Dusty Baker swept Boone in the ALCS last year and has won a ring, and he's on his way to Cooperstown. So he slides on by. You want to tell me Aaron Boone's better than Scott Service? Okay. He's better than Phil Nevin? Okay. And is he better than Mark Gotze? Yes. The only argument would be service, and to be fair, Boone's been a constant playoff manager. Service just made the playoffs last year for the first time. So right away, Bochy, Dusty, Terry Francona, Kevin Cash, Alex Cora, and AJ Hinch is on the fence. So that's already 5-6. I haven't even gotten to the NL yet. You can say whatever you want. He's not a better manager than Brian Snitker and the job he's done with the Braves. So that's fine. He's better than Skip Schumacher. Is he better than Davey Martinez? Like let's be honest about this. Davey won a World Series. And like I said about the Orioles, the Nats have some things going for them. They had top two in that rotation, Mackenzie Gore and Josiah Gray. Those can be stalwarts. If you want to give Boone the edge there, I'll live. But Davey's pretty good. Boone versus Buck is an interesting conversation. Buck's been around longer, but Buck has also done more with less. If you want to think about it, Buck really set up the Yankees dynasty because he was the manager before Joe Torre. He was the manager before the Rangers went to the World Series. He was the manager of the Orioles before they blew it up. So Buck has some interesting complications. Rob Thompson's in his first full year as a manager. Did go to the World Series last year, but I think that was more of the team than Rob Thompson, and sometimes that new voice. The NL Central, the only guy I think worth mentioning is Craig Counsell. It's Craig Counsell because the Brewers have been a constant. They've been consistently very good. So Boone versus Counsell's an interesting conversation. And again, the Brewers do it differently than the Yankees. Every team does it differently. So then there's the NL West. Torey Lovell's been in Arizona a long time, done a pretty good job. Is he better than Boone? No, probably not. He's better than Buddy Black, and he's better than Gabe Kapler. I don't think he's better than Bob Melvin, although the Padres have stunk up the joint so far this year. And they've been putrid, and we can talk about them in a few minutes. But Bob Melvin's a pretty good manager. And then Dave Roberts, who I'll say this, I don't think he's a great manager because I think the Dodgers are a great team because they spend a lot of money and they have a great farm system. I think it's a lot on Andrew Friedman. But I look at it's kind of similar to the Yankees where they spend a ton of money and there's the expectation. of both those teams. So for this exercise, I'm not really going to include Dave Roberts because we could throw him in at some point. But so argument's sake, now we're going Cash and Cora. That's 2. Terry Francona is 3. I put Hinch in there. I like AJ Hinch a lot. Dusty's 5, Bochy's 6. Snitker's 7. Council 8. I'm going to put Bob Melvin in. I know the Padres have scuffled, but I like Bob Melvin a lot. So, if you want to throw Dave Roberts in, Dave Roberts is 10. And so Aaron Boone's not a top 10 manager. And if you want to make the case Dave Roberts isn't a top 10 manager, that's fine by me. My point is this. I think a lot of people like to overanalyze things. And I get it, it's the job. On sports radio, it's the job to overanalyze. The thing that bothers me about a Boone argument is when you want to make did I mention Francona? I'm redoing in a second. But the thing that bothers me is you want to pump the tires of the team on your station. And when they deserve to be ripped, you rip them. Let's not sit here and argue the fact that whether you think Aaron Boone's a good manager or whether you think Aaron Boone's a bad manager. If George Steinbrenner was alive today, Aaron Boone wouldn't be the manager of the New York Yankees. You know why? Because George wants to win. And this team hasn't won a World Series in 14 years. They haven't won since 2009. The New York Yankees have not won a World Series since 2009. They have not been to the World Series since 2009. Think of the teams who've been to the World Series since then. The Rangers, the Royals, the Rays, the New York Mets have been to a more recent World Series than the New York Yankees. And the Red Sox. The Red Sox have won World Series. Do you know what that would have done if George was alive? Seeing the Red Sox, he would have flipped. So, again, this is not a vendetta against Boone in any way, shape, or form. I'm just calling it like I see. I don't think he's a top 10 manager. I think he's a byproduct of them spending money. Let's be real honest. I know he was out, and then he just went on. He's on a tear right now. If Judge signed with the Giants, if Aaron Judge signed with the Giants instead of the Giants signed Arson Judge, we might be having a different argument about the Yankees this year. We might be. Who knows? Carlos Rodon still hasn't thrown a pitch. So that, not a vendetta against Boone, but just something to think about. All right. So let's talk a little bit about some of the bigger. Actually, you know what? Before we dive into the big series, and we will get there. I do want to talk about the Padres, and I don't like doing this. I'll talk about the Mets as well. The Padres are 3-7 in their last 10. They're 22-27 on the year. They're 8 back of the Dodgers. They are closer to the Rockies in the standings than they are the Giants. 2 behind the Giants, a game and a half in front of the Rockies. They're finishing a series against the Nationals. If the Padres don't turn this around, I'm not saying they have to win the division. I'm not going to say that. But if the Padres don't make the playoffs, we need to have a conversation. Because this might be worse than the Dream Team Eagles conversation. And listen, Machado's hurt now, but you still have Tatis. You still have Soto, who they need to pick it up. Bogarts has been really good, and then they need their pitching to be really good. Darvish, Musgrove, they need these guys to be good. If they can be good, then they're in that position. But until then, I need to see them hit the consistency. But they can't be they can't be 10 and 12 on the road and 12 and 15 at home. It's inexcusable. Team's too talented. And as much credit as I just gave Bob Melvin before for being a really good manager, he's going to eat the brunt of this, despite it being, I think, a player problem as well. Sometimes the stars just don't all mesh. That's a problem. So the Padres have their issues. The other team in the NL I'll talk about for a second is the Mets, and because they've been a subject recently on a number of different fronts. Omar Narvaez is going to start a rehab assignment, I believe, next week. Tomas Nido should be starting one relatively soon as well, with his vision issue being all cleared. And the Mets also have Gary Sanchez on their roster, along with Francisco Alvarez. So here's the deal. You have 4 catchers for 2 spots. I'll be the guy who says it. I don't need to see Gary Sanchez catch. I don't need to see Gary Sanchez be the DH. I don't need to see Gary Sanchez in a Met uniform. He's not the guy. He'll run into one every now and then, but he's not the guy. You traded for Narvaez for a reason. You liked him, or you signed Narvaez for a reason. He's got to be here. So then it comes down to Nido versus Alvarez. And the answer is right in front of you. It's Alvarez. The kid he hit his 6th home run last night. He's a much better defensive catcher than I think the Mets gave him credit for coming into the season. Blocker, pitch frame, and the pitchers like pitching to him. So I'm going to bump Alvarez in. Alvarez and Narvaez should be your 2 catchers. If you send Alvarez down, what does it do for not only him mentally, but what does it do for the team? Because he's one of the few guys who can run into one on this team. Him, Alonso, Marte can run into one. We're waiting on Lindor to run into a few. But so Alvarez is up. He has to play. Which brings me to the next topic on the Mets. If Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty are up, they have to play. I get it if you want to give Beatty a day so Escobar could play third, fine. I don't need to see Daniel Vogelback as my DH anymore. We've gotten to the point now where it's May 25th and Daniel Vogelback hasn't shown anything. He was supposed to be the protection for Pete Alonso. That's why everyone was like, this is why people asked for the Mets to go get a bat this winter, because the lineup's not deep enough. And the lineup really shrinks when guys like Vogelback and Canna and Marte haven't hit. Marte's starting to get going. Still waiting on Canna. And Vogelback hasn't gotten hot. So now when you get through the top, I'll be nice and say 5 because I'll throw top 4 because McNeil, Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, and then Alvarez at the bottom of the order. And this isn't even a knock on Brett Beatty. Line's just not deep enough. When you look at a lineup that you're going to have to play in the Braves, Acuna, Albies, Olsen, Riley, Sean Murphy, then they can DH Travis d'Arnaud. And then their 9-hitter is Harris, who's reigning Rookie of the Year. So the deeper the lineup, and that's the Mets issue. We could talk about the starting pitching, and Scherzer's been really good his last 2 starts. Verlander was excellent Sunday night. Kodai Senga wasn't great last night, but those things are going to happen. He's been the most consistent guy. McGill wasn't good on Tuesday night. They need a little bit more out of him. David Peterson's given him nothing. And Carrasco, who goes tonight, listen, if Carrasco and Peterson continue to struggle, the Mets are going to have to make a deal for another starter because neither one of those guys right now is worth throwing out there for 5-6 innings because they get beaten and get hit in 4, and they keep putting themselves in holes. So the guy I'd go get is Lucas Giolito if the White Sox are truly selling at some point. I think a change of scenery would do him pretty good. And he was good a couple of years ago. I don't think that changed, but just a name to keep an eye out on. But look, the Mets are 5.5 behind the Braves for as poorly as they've played. So they have an opportunity here. Play the Cubs one more tonight, Wrigley. By the way, it is a crime to play 3 night games at Wrigley Field, and it should be against the law. But they have an opportunity here to make up some ground because the Braves have a tough weekend. The Mets are going to Colorado, where hopefully the bats wake up a bit. But on to the weekend previews. Speaking of the Braves, they will host the Phillies this weekend for a 4-game set starting tonight, Thursday. First time the two teams are going to play this year since the Phillies beat the Braves in the NLDS in 4 games, 3-1. The Phillies got Bryce Harper back. They've got Turner. Now, here's the thing about the Phillies. They had a walk-off win yesterday against the Diamondbacks. Maybe that's the one that gets the Phillies going because we've been waiting for the Phillies really to get hot. And let's be honest, but after this 4-gamer with the Braves, they go to Citi Field. So they're in that position where, and they're in a pretty good spot here in this series because Max Fried's not going to pitch for the Braves. He's hurt. Same thing with Kyle Wright. But you got Aaron Nola going tonight. And you got Wheeler going. I apologize. I think Wheeler's going Saturday. Tonight's Nola. I'm just making sure tomorrow's Walker. So it goes Nola, Walker, and then Wheeler will pitch on Saturday. So that's where they're at. They're going to pitch their big 3. And Charlie Morton's the big guy who will pitch on Saturday for Atlanta. And Spencer Strider will go Sunday. So that's the situation for those two teams, the Phillies and the Braves. Tight. The Phillies are 7 out. If they make a run, it starts here in this series. If they can take 3 of 4 from the Braves in Atlanta, it's a huge statement. It would be a huge statement for the Phillies. For the Braves, they lost 2 of 3 to the Dodgers, which, I mean, most people lose 2 of 3 to the Dodgers, and they're rolling right now. So that's for them. The Dodgers are going to go to Tampa, and they're going to play the Rays 2020 World Series rematch. Here's a gripe I have, and I know this is not something people want to hear me gripe about, but I'll gripe about it. It's the Sunday game being on Peacock, because if you don't have Peacock, you can't watch. The game. You have to find a stream or whatever. So the pitching matchups Friday night will be Noah Syndergaard for the Dodgers, and he's been brutal. 1-3 with a 5.88. The Rays have not announced who's pitching. Saturday's a good one. Saturday's Clayton Kershaw, who's had a really nice start to his year, 6-4, 2.98. Tyler Glasnow will make his season debut for the Rays. And then the Peacock game Sunday morning will be Gavin Stone against Taj Bradley. So 2 young guys pitching. So, but here's one thing on the Peacock thing and all the streaming games, because I get it. The leagues have to make their money. And I totally understand. But to have Peacock, Apple TV, then the Yankees have the audacity to put some of their games not on Yes, but they put them on Amazon Prime. You're expecting the consumer to buy all of this, and then you want them also to spend money on tickets, and when they go to a game, the food and the parking and all of this. At some point, you got to give to the fans to get. So that's what I'll say on the streaming games. I'm not going to make a huge thing about it because I get it. That's where we're going as a world. Everything is going to be streamed. So Dodgers, Rays, Phillies, Braves. Dodgers, Rays, Phillies, Braves. That is not easy to say. You got the Padres and the Yankees. The Padres need to make a statement in the series. They have to take 2 of 3. They're going to have Musgrove and Darvish in this series. I think Darvish faces Cole, which should be a good pitching matchup. Listen, if the Orioles beat the Yankees tonight, and the Orioles take 2 of 3, the Yankees are going to need some momentum back to take 2 of 3 from the Padres. So that is a very intriguing series because the Padres need it, and the Yankees might need just to stay intact with the Rays. And then you got the Blue Jays and the Twins. The Twins are in first place in the AL Central by 2.5 over the Tigers, who started to climb. And the Blue Jays have the same record as the Twins, and they're 9.5 back of the Rays. So, and the Blue Jays currently are down 5-1 after 5 against the Rays. So the Blue Jays just need to, their offense will be fine with Springer and Bichette and Vlad Jr. Gosman's been really good. Bassett's been really good. They need to figure out the Alek Manoah thing at some point. The bullpen's been spotty, but they just Barrios and Kikuchi have been head scratchers because they've been really good at times and they've been really bad at times. So they need to figure those 2 guys out because I still think they are the most talented team in this division. I really do. So I still like the Blue Jays a lot. The Twins need to figure it out. Correa's got plantar fasciitis now. Buxton, he needs to stay healthy. The pitching's been pretty good. Sonny Gray's been pretty good. Ober's been pretty good. The Twins' pitching's been better. Joe Ryan's been really good. So those series are fun. And then you got the Rangers and the Orioles. And I'll tell you this is a test for the Rangers. On the road, Camden Yards. Orioles are young and spunky, and they're fun. The Rangers are crushing everyone. But this will be should be a fun series for both teams. Both 2 teams playing really well right now. And the Rangers are only a game better than the Orioles right now. And then you have the Pirates and the Mariners on the West Coast. Not to show any biasness, I will go to the West Coast with the Pirates and the Mariners. And the Pirates have faded a little bit. They're 4-6 in their last 10. I think they're 5-16 over the last 21. To the point they're a game over 500. They're 2 back of the Brewers. By the way, the Cardinals are starting to make a run in the Central, but Pirates. Listen, if you're a Pirate fan, the start couldn't have been better than what you've asked for. Now what you want is a respectable year. And even if that's under 500, let's say it's 79 and 83, 80 and 82, and you're on the cusp of 500, I think if you're a Pirate fan, you take that. If you're a Mariner fan, you made the playoffs for the first time since 2001 last year. Want to bounce back? You got the starting pitching to do it. The problem is no one saw the Angels being what they are. And I think most people thought Texas would bounce back, just not this high. But that should be a fun, interesting series as well. So those are some of the series to watch this weekend. Pirates, Mariners, Orioles, Rangers, Blue Jays, Twins, Padres, Yankees, Dodgers, Rays, Phillies, Braves. We'll be back, batter up Sunday morning. But you can check this podcast out, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the network Twitter account, youtube.com/the Sports Insanity Network. We're on Twitter at SInsaint or SInsanityReal. We're on Facebook. You just type it out. You'll find it. Go to the website, www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. And I am Mike Rifkin for the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by Halpern's Cards and Collectibles on the Sports Insanity Network. Have a great weekend, everyone. Talk to you Sunday, and namaste.